Hello, hello. I am Lisamaria Martinez, and this is Badass Women Unleashing the True You. And with me today, I have Shakira Rouse. She is a creator, or the creator and founder of Special Compass. She is a keynote speaker, facilitator, and yoga instructor. She has an incredible passion at connecting people to understand that learning disabilities shouldn't deter one from accomplishing their goals. Merging her personal experience and education, Shakira created Special Compass in 2015. Special Compass is an organization dedicated at helping students with learning disabilities achieve success in and outside the classroom. Her work has led her to speaking engagements, interviews, and various events in North America, such as the Ontario National Alliance of Black Student Educators Annual Conference, the Learning Disability Association of Canada Speak Up for Ability Conference, and presenting at the National Alliance of Black Student Educators 2019 Annual Conference in Dallas, Texas. In 2016, she received the Black Role Model Award for her work and recently has been nominated for the 2021 Women of Influence Award. Shakira, you are incredible. And thank you for agreeing to be a speaker during this summit. It's been so much fun interviewing everybody, and I'm so excited to be able to have a chance to chat with you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this great initiative and the summit. It sounds amazing. When I got when you reached out to me, I was just like, yeah.
You're like, easy, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I read your bio, but I'd love to hear in your words a little bit about who you are and what you do and why you do what you do.
Okay. Who am I? I feel like that's a question that I'm still like trying to figure out and, answer every day. But in terms of how I got here, I always tell people like I had to go backwards in my life to kind of figure out what were the events that kind of led me here. So I was diagnosed with a learning disability at a young age in grade 2. And, when you're like that young, you have no idea what this means, right? And you're just kind of in class and realizing that you're going to a special class, getting help for certain things. I just kind of always accepted that, English and math were never going to be my strongest subjects in school, but French was. So yeah, I'm in Canada, we're a bilingual country. So French was one of the subjects I was learning, and I excelled at French. And it was the one subject that made me feel so confident in school. And I've always just had an eager and interest in learning in general. I just, liked school and learning new things. And then when it came time, I was in high school, I started picking up Spanish. And when it came time to decide where I was going to study in university, I kind of was like, let me stick with the languages. And I really liked it. So I was going to go to university, do a double major in French and Spanish. I was just really ambitious and had this idea of, once I'm done that, I'll get my MBA and be this kind of like international marketing executive person. And I always kind of thought that even, no matter how successful I would get, that I would still like to give back and do something for, those are always kind of forgotten or overlooked. And at the time I was thinking it was like, teenagers and those, students, that kind of certain demographic. So when I got into university, first year went by, it was a challenge. Second year, I said, okay, I'm going to buckle harder and study harder, work harder. And that's exactly what I did for like 2 years. I was, if I had a class on campus at noon, I was on campus 9 a.m., wasn't leaving till maybe 9 p.m., doing what I had to do on campus, going to the library, going to the resource centers, whatever was offered on campus to help me. And it just kind of felt like no matter how hard I was working, it wasn't reflecting in my grades. And it came to a point that a couple of times there were some professors that would say, the student that articulates herself so well in the classroom doesn't always come across on her papers and her assignments. And, I would constantly get these marks back and look at them and think, okay, that was a silly mistake, Shakira, like we need to work harder. And again, that's what I did. And I worked myself so hard that I put myself into a mental exhaustion. And at the time, I'm going through these things and I'm not recognizing what's, I'm just going through the motions and not recognizing what the toll it's taken on me. But it came to a point where I kind of just contemplated, should I even stay in school? Because it felt like no matter how hard I worked, nothing was going to change. But then it kind of just gave me those two things that kind of discouraged me from that. So one, I had no idea how I'd even tell my mother that. I'm like thinking, maybe I shouldn't go to school anymore. That was a conversation I had no idea how I was going to tell it to her. And then the second thing was, I believe in God. So one of the things it said I realized was that he wouldn't bring me this far to quit. So so then all my, in that moment, I was confiding with a friend and I was talking to them, and somehow the conversation caught up about our learning disabilities. She mentioned hers and I said, yeah, I have one too. And she started asking me all these questions I couldn't understand, or couldn't answer, I should say. And then she was like, girlfriend, do you know you could get help? And I was just like, no. And so that was kind of like the light bulb went off in my head. Like by this time, I thought I was a problem to, not doing well in school, but it never occurred to me there's something out of my control that could be a contributing factor. So thankfully for that friend, like we went to the accessibility service department on campus. I got set up to get support, and by my fourth year, I was actually able to get the support I needed. And at this point, I was working so hard, I was just like, let me just finish with my degree in Spanish. And then later on, I'll come back and finish my French degree. So exactly what I did. I graduated with a degree in Spanish. I worked in for a little bit. Then I was like, okay, I'm just going to go back and keep that promise to myself. And it was more because like, I just didn't see myself, couldn't figure out why I would come so far and like studying French and to only, have a couple of courses left and not finished. So when I went back to school, I kind of also picked up a minor in inclusive education. And I tell people inclusive education is essentially special education, but understanding how to teach and educate diverse thinkers and exceptional learners in the classroom. And when I was reading these different, my textbooks and the things they were saying, I'm like, this is not what's going on in school. And then that's when the other light bulb moment went off in my head. I was like, there's a lot of resources and information in these textbooks about what's supposed to be going on. And I know that this is not what's going on in the system. And I know that a lot of the information and resources in this textbook is actually going to be beneficial to parents and students. So then that's when the idea of Special Compass came about. And I realized that, a child's first advocate is their parents. So it's not just about helping the student. Like if I could help educate the parent on understanding how to be proactive and how to advocate effectively for their son or daughter, this is also going to help to change the trajectory of their child's future, academic future. And so with that, it was kind of just like, I was putting together, going back into my life again, thinking about where did I need to support, what were the things that could have helped me? How can I create an intervention or a program or a workshop or something that's going to be to help other students? And it's been like, we're going on 7 years actually now. It's been a journey. It's been a wonderful journey, keep growing over and over again. And I would say this kind of because, we always are in our head and we're always doubting ourselves. And I always remember when I had the idea for Special Compass, I was afraid to share it. And I thought someone was going to tell me it's a stupid idea. Till this day, no one's ever told me that it was a stupid idea.
I'm glad and you're right. We are so often in our heads and sometimes, that is to our detriment, because it does hold us back. And I'm glad that you did go for it, because it sounds like Special Compass is doing some really cool things. And I hate and I am sad in my heart that you had this experience, essentially falling through the cracks of the education, the educational system. And I'm so excited that, you're like, this isn't cool. I'm going to step up. I'm going to step out. I'm going to help others, make sure that this doesn't happen to them. Like, that is really cool. So thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. How do you think, owning your story and really figuring out, like, hey, I have a learning disability, and how did that lead to you becoming a more confident person?
Very good question. It came with time, and I would say that the first thing I had to recognize is, like, I had to get very comfortable with my own story. So I was that student in the classroom that would like to sit at the back of the class. Like, I would sit at the back of the class, I'm listening. I would like have, like, my space, but I wasn't the one to kind of always answer questions. I would sit there and answer in my head, and yeah, you got it right here, your stuff type of thing. But then when I kind of this idea for Special Compass, um, people wanted to start talking, like, people wanted to talk to me. I was like, okay. And I always remember I had this opportunity to sit down with, like, another entrepreneur, also in an educational business. And they said when they read my application, they were really interested in meeting me. And so then I told them what happened. And he's like, what's going to help you sell is, like, your story. And I was just like, what story? I'm just telling you what happened to me. Right. So then it was kind of like these little moments were making me realize, okay, as much as I want to be sit in the background of this, I have to, my story does have the power, because I realize that it connects people. There's people with similar experiences, similar stories that they could also, relate to. There's students that right now that are going through the same thing. And just to hear my story, it's also encouraging to them to say, hey, that you're not alone. And I think that was one of the things why I was kind of just a little bit hesitant, because sometimes we're going through things in life and we feel alone. And I remember, like, hearing this analogy somewhere, as I feel like usually we feel like we're sitting in that lifeboat by ourselves and we're just swimming, we're just trying to paddle through the storm by ourselves. But if we just, like, look up and look across, we realize that there's other little lifeboats, swimming through the same storm, going through the same experience, right? So when I realized that I need to, share my experience and get comfortable, and each time I told my story, I got a little bit more comfortable telling certain parts about that story. And at the same time, it was also healing for me, because there was parts of the story, like when I said I was contemplating if I should stay in school, like, whoa, that was something that I wasn't really being honest with myself too. And even just acknowledging how, acknowledging that point in my life, I also had to acknowledge that, hey, I was stressed. I was going through, like, that was actually a low point for me to, that was my low point. That was something I wasn't being honest with myself with. I should say, I didn't admit it to myself with that was the low point. So it's a little bit of that reciprocal relationship, right? And the more you get comfortable telling your story, the more it also helps to bring a little bit of healing to your past, but it also helps you to grow as a person and helps other people as well too. So I couldn't keep this to myself, because then it's like I'm not helping other people.
Right. Oh, so powerful. I couldn't keep this to myself. I love that quote. And I'm finding, as I speak. Oh no. Am I still frozen? I'm finding that uh-oh.
Okay, you're back.
All right. Yay, Zoom snafus. I'm finding that it is so important to tell our stories, right? Not only because in the telling it heals us, as you said, but also someone who hears that story says, "Me too." You know, I that story is also my story, different experiences, but it's my story too. And there's power in sharing our stories. And I think it just helps elevate each other and give each other, the support and the confidence that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what gets you up in the morning? Like, what motivates you to do all this wonderful work you do?
I get a lot of that question as well too. And I have one friend that like we were always texting each other every day, and she's like, I don't know where you get the energy from. And and I say this that just like everyone else, I get tired, but I think for me, what motivates me right now is I know knowledge or the idea that okay, if I don't do this, then it's not going to get done. So and like everybody else, I'm not perfect, right? So I kind of just try to, set a goal of like 3 things to accomplish for that day. And then boom, if I could knock out 2 of the 3, then it's a praise the Lord day type of day, right? And but I would say also just how I structure my day, a lot of the things I'm trying to do is also just be better, like just improve myself. And I think for when I think of some of like my fitness goals, especially for this year, it's not because I'm looking to get like washboard abs, but it's just like, hey, I feel like I could reach a new level of strength. Like, let me see how strong I am. And I
Mm,
think that's what's kind of pushing me forward to do certain things, like, because we've all like, we're in this race. I shouldn't say it's a race called life, but we're in this race, right? We're playing in our own lanes. And sometimes, we get a good rhythm and stride, and it's like very easy to just stay at the same lane, don't make any changes to come to hit to that plateau and get discouraged. But I kind of feel that it's like once we hit that, it's like it's not necessary for us to turn back, but to see us do better. So it's kind of like maybe there's some kind of tweak or an adjustment I could do here that's going to take me to the next level. And so that's what I'm trying to do as well too. So I usually tell people when I start my day, how I structure my day is, in the morning is that time for me to focus on myself. And I keep, then you have your mornings where you kind of, 9 o'clock, you do some emails and you do some posting, whatever you have to do, work on those hard tasks. And usually early afternoons, kind of light and load into those easy tasks. And then by 8 o'clock, I'm implementing, doing my best, again, a rule of no devices, put down the technology and just sit down and relax. And just being very gentle with myself and all that. Again, if I only get, let's say, 2 of the 3 done, I know it's a good day. If I really just maybe I overcome a hurdle with one of my tasks and I got it done, a great day. But even if I'm just able to get 15 minutes of yoga, or make sure that by 8 o'clock I've turned off all the devices and I'm ready to relax and unwind, it's also a good day. So I was just trying to be like, just take those little bit of adjustments, those little things, just kind of move forward and just kind of really say, hey, this is not where I'm supposed to coast. I think I could do better.
mm, mm. I like those little boundaries that you set for yourself, and I love that, be gentle, the advice to be gentle to yourself, because that in for sure is one thing I think, especially women, we could all do better at, is to be more gentle and kind to ourselves. We
Yeah.
put so much pressure on ourselves to, for lots of reasons, and we don't give ourselves the permission, or to be kind, to be gentle, and we need to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
So
100% true.
the whole, purpose of this summit is to bring together a bunch of badass women and to have them share their stories and share how it's made them, a more confident human being. But I all and so I hope that excites and inspires the people watching. But what I also want is for those watching this summit to walk away feeling like they're gaining some knowledge, that they're gaining some wisdom that will help them either begin their journey or continue their journey to being a badass woman. So, what words of advice or wisdom would you share with those women?
So it may sound a little bit cliche, but 100% trust yourself. I think that even just reflecting on my journey of special compass from when I started to here, there was times, along the way where people were giving me tips and advice, and like they meant well, and I would take it, or I was kind of more of like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to be information hungry and take everything and all the resources that everyone's given me. And many times I kind of found myself overworked, not enjoying myself, burnt out. And there was a couple of times when I found like it was taking me in a different direction where I wanted to go. And it was only until, I stopped listening to other people's advice and just, take it with a grain of salt, or just taking the 1 or 2 cents that were valuable to me, and then bringing it back to my own ideas and just trusting myself and understand that, hey, like I'm on this journey. I know what I'm doing. Even like recently, like I left my corporate job to pursue and work more full-time on Special Compass. At the time I was just juggling two. And I had to come to a point to myself where it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm like, yes, this is my first social enterprise, my first business experience, but I have a big understanding of the different things I need to be doing. And I need to trust myself and just follow my gut and just go forward. And in the times when I looked back, when I was making that decision to like leave the corporate world, I had to realize that the times where I was successful is when I trusted myself. I followed my gut, I followed my intuition, I followed my heart, and that is what led me to the most, like to the wins. And I'm still early on this journey, but I think like a lot of other people that made that leap of, leaving the corporate world to pursue their passion, no regrets. And I could say the same. I have no regrets. I know it's the right decision I made.
All of that resonates with me so much. Like, leaving my corporate job to do this, right? To be a life coach and to really pursue my passions of helping women. And I love every single word you said. And it got me so excited to hear you say trust, because I read something at the end of the last year that suggested to come up with a word for the coming year and have that word guide you through the year. And this year I chose trust. Trust in myself, trust in my decisions, trust in the process, just trust. And so yay to trust.
That's good. I've done the same thing too, actually. So my word is consistency.
Ooh, I like that too. Very good, very good. So cool. Well, you have shared so many awesome things. Like, I could sit here all afternoon and chat with you. But you have some giveaways that I'd love to hear about.
Yeah. So I'm giving away a little success prize pack. It's a copy of the legacy book that I was a part of, a book project I was a part of last year, a collection of stories from different other badass women, just about our journeys. So mine is also there, the title of The Scenic Route, kind of sharing my journeys about how I got to where I am today, as well as just some really inspiring merchandise from the Special Compass of our online store, creating a swag, just trying to bring a more positive, I shouldn't say trying or bring a positive, but reframing what it means to have a learning disability or a disability in general, and help showing people the uniqueness and the beauty of it, of every individual in it. So it's going to be a pretty cool prize pack. So hopefully I know the person that receives it will be blessed and enjoy it.
Awesome. And we'll put the links to all of that along with this video. So if you're watching this now, you should be able to find all of the info for the prize pack in your email as well. And Shakira, where can we find you? Where can we learn more about Special Compass and you and all the wonderful things you do?
Yeah, so you could find our website is www.specialcompass.ca. And you could follow us on Instagram as well as Special Compass Inc., Facebook, YouTube. You can follow me personally, the LD Advocate. That's my Instagram handle. And Special Compass, again, on LinkedIn, whatever social media, we're out there.
Cool. And all of that also is along with this video. Thank you so much for taking the time in your day to share your wisdom, to share your story. I really hope that everyone watching today gets a lot out of what you have to say. I know I did. And I just thank you so much for participating in Badass Women.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.